With Cory Perry returning to the NHL, there's one team that he's interested in joining, and it would be massive for this franchise. I'll get into that later in this episode. Before I start, I just want to say to the thousands of you watching that aren't subscribed, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season long, giving you updates from around the league. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic, which Cory Perry returns. Now, I'm just going to do a brief summary on this because we did cover it in yesterday's video. Chris Johnson does say, can confirm that Perry is eligible to sign with any NHL team as a free agent after having his contract terminated by the Blackhawks on November 30th. And if you do continue on, this is just a brief summary of saying that Cory Perry, who was terminated by the Chicago Blackhawks on November 30th, met with Gary Bettman on Tuesday and now is eligible to sign with another team. Now, this does say pretty much just a quick breakdown of what happened with Cory Perry. I'm not going to go too far into this. If you missed that episode, you can just go back on our channel. It will be there. Or if you use Google's name, it will be floating around. But if you wanted to give this a quick read, you can as well. But I'll hop straight into the second topic, which is Perry's link to the Leafs. Now, it did come out that Carlo was saying, my understanding is that there's mutual interest between the Toronto Maple Leafs and Cory Perry, and he discussed it with Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson did say on First Up, if Perry is willing to sign for a league minimum contract, 12 of the 20 teams battling for a playoff would be interested in him. And this was brought up when they were kind of just discussing Cory Perry's return and where he will end up. Now, Cory Perry being linked to the Leafs is massive for this team. We've seen this team kind of miss a player like this throughout their lineup for quite a few years. They did take a swing, and it was a tiny bit of a miss on Reeves within this franchise. He has shown flashes. He's a big body. He will fight. He'll throw hits, but overall, he doesn't bring a lot of depth scoring, which Cory Perry has done and will do for your franchise. Now, according to Daily Faceoff, Frank Chiavelli, this came out back in October. October of 2020, sorry. Perry had interest in joining the Maple Leafs, but after signing Wayne Simmonds, there didn't appear to be any more cap. Now, we've seen Wayne Simmonds being signed back in 2020. He did have a brief stint with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He was there for a couple of years. He never really cemented himself in the lineup. He did spend a lot of time at the press box. But overall, Wayne Simmonds did make his impact on this Leafs roster, and I thought he was quite good during his span. Cory Perry would have been a guy that we could have picked up as well. We did go this direction of Wayne Simmonds, but it seems like the team is kind of swinging back and looking at Cory Perry himself. Now, when you do look at Cory Perry, he's been in the league since 2005. This is a household name. Everyone knows him. He's the type of player that you either hate him or love him. If he's on your team, you probably love him. If he's not on your team, you probably hate him. But Cory Perry himself, as you can see, 2 Art Rosses. This guy has scored 30 goals, 40, 50. But in the past couple of years with Dallas, Montreal, Tampa, he was scoring 5, 9, 19, 12, and 4. This is a guy that can still put up points for you within the lineup. As you can see here, he has had productive seasons, and especially into Chicago, he still had 9 points in 16 games with a rebuilding Chicago team. Now, Cory Perry is going to be the guy that's going to come in and fill out maybe your 4th line or 3rd in a pinch. He's not going to kind of return to his form of scoring 50 goals, winning the Hart Trophy, the Art Ross, none of this. He's going to come in and probably produce at that 25 to 30 point range. As you can see, he can still hit 48 hits in 81 games. He's a pesky guy, and the best way to look at it is he's Michael Bunting but older. He's a guy that's going to go out, get under people's skins. He can still pot you points, and I think he would be perfect within this Leafs lineup. And the big thing that I think he brings to this Leafs lineup that not a lot of people are going to look at is his playoffs. Now, when you do look at Cory Perry, he went on to make 3 straight finals with Dallas, Montreal, and Tampa, and that was from 2019 to 2022. The only problem with this span was he ended up losing all of them. He went from, as you can see here, Dallas, who did lose in the finals, switched to Montreal, that lost in the finals, and then switched to Tampa, which ultimately did lose in the finals again. So this is a guy that knows how to play in the playoffs. He's been there before. You can see the track record. Back in 2006, 21 games. You have 13, 13, 16, 17, 27, 22, and 23. And he did produce during some of these games. When you look at his time spent with Dallas, Montreal, and Tampa Bay, he didn't put up a lot of points minus the 2022-23 season where he was almost a point per game, but he was filling out this bottom 6 role. He was a guy that was cemented on teams' 3rd and 4th lines. He would bring in a physicality, pestiness, everything you need in a playoff run. This guy, as I said, has a bit of a past. We're not going to really talk too much about what happened in Chicago. As I said, you can look this up. But this guy, as a player himself, can be cemented into the Leafs' bottom six, maybe even on that third line. I know on the left wing right now we do have a mix of Holmberg and Robertson, depending on who's there and who's not scratched that game. But I think adding Cory Perry into a line with Domi and Järnkrok would add this pestiness that Domi already has, a bit of physicality, goal scoring that you can set up using a guy like Järnkrok or Domi, and he can still get in on the power play as an option as well. So I kind of just took the Leafs roster. As you can see back in one of these, sorry about this, he is willing to take a league minimum. So a guy like Cory Perry, you could kind of put into your fourth line. This team right here has about 70K left over in cap. As you can see, Cory Perry is on the third line or fourth line in this, but you can kind of put him in anywhere within this lineup. You can move him up to the third line. In a pinch, you could maybe get him onto the second, the third, and you can also use him on the power play. Right now on the right side of your screen, you can kind of see the two power plays. The top one is what they're currently running, and the second one is kind of a mix on what they might or could run with a guy like Cory Perry. You had a guy like Domi, who's a phenomenal playmaker, a guy like Cory Perry that can get in front of the net and still pot you goals, and a guy like Bertuzzi, who's grindy enough to get in front of the net as well. You have a guy like Matthew Nyes that can move the puck and battle in the corners, and a guy like Timothy Liljegren that's not afraid to put it on the net. In my opinion, bringing in Cory Perry is not only a veteran ad, is not only an ad to add the pestiness, as I've been saying, but this is a guy that can still score, he can contribute, and I think he would make a massive impact, in my opinion, on this bottom six for the Toronto Maple Leafs. As I once said, you can put him on the fourth line. If you wanted to clear up cap to make another move, sending down Ryan Reeves or placing him on LTIR if he's still not healthy, and sending down Legason does create about $2.1 million in cap space as well. So this gives you enough just room to add maybe another right-handed defenseman. This would be the cost of Chris Tanev at half retained. You can look around the league. You can add some guys at half retained, put them onto that second pairing, maybe the top pairing, or even use this to go out and add multiple pieces at deadline. So in my opinion, I think this is a perfect add. What your guys thought? Do you think he fits within this team? I know there's a lot of speculations. Other teams, Pittsburgh's currently looking at a guy like Michael Bunting, but maybe if the price is too high on this from Carolina, they might take a swing on a guy like Cory Perry, former teammates with Sidney Crosby during the World Championships, during the Canadian Olympics. This guy knows Crosby, Crosby knows Perry. So these guys might, have a little reunion, even though it is a bit of a retirement home over there right now. I know a team like the Canucks were kind of rumored at adding a bottom six guy, but it seems like multiple reports have came out that the Canucks are kind of staying away from him and just don't want Cory's presence on the team. So what you guys thought? Do you think bringing him into the Leafs locker room is going to add a distraction because of his off-ice antics from this season? Or do you think he is the perfect piece to add to this team to kind of add this boost of playoff experience, veteran leadership, and just more goal scoring out of this bottom six? But with that, let's hop into everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day comes from user, I believe your name's Chuck. I'm so sorry if I didn't remember it. But he says, Cory Perry would bring everything to the Leafs that they don't have and really need. So he's not a choir boy. It's not a game for choir boys. Sign him quick. Listen, as I said, Cory Perry's past has not been outstanding. I know he's quite pesty. We know the John Tavares incident, which I do think was completely not on Cory Perry. It was just a bad accident. But I think bringing in a guy like Cory Perry could really change and just kind of shake up this roster. Especially if, like I said, you bring him in for the $775K, which is the league minimum. I think this really changes the Leafs for quite the good sense, in my opinion. But like I said, what's your guys' thoughts? Let me know down in the comments while you're down there. Make sure to like, subscribe, and until next time, take care.